Alright, today I'm going to talk about the shark attacks of the world. These attacks are getting worse. They will continue to get worse. I will tell you why. I will tell you when these attacks will occur, and I will tell you where these attacks will occur. If you go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it, you will see the evidence of what is happening and why this is happening, and it's all pretty obvious. These shark attacks will happen in May, June, and July throughout tropical climates of the world, around the mouths of rivers. Any place there is a beach next to a river, that's where there's going to be attacks. Ports next to rivers, that's where there'll be attack. New Smyrna Beach is really at risk. The beach is right next to the inlet, very dangerous. At the end of the video, I have a special treat just for you. Probably shouldn't have done that. Don't tell my girlfriend I did that, she's gonna kill me. Yeah, I think I'm getting a nibble. Uh-oh. Looks like there's a fish swatting at my line. The bait may be up on the line or another fish hit. See the fish there? Ah, shit, I'm in trouble. Look at that. There's several other fish charging around looking for the action. The other day I was here with a big bait. I put a stinger on it. The two hooks were 6 inches apart. I caught 2 fish. That didn't last long. And they broke the one wire and straightened the other hook. I lost them both. Ah, shit, I gotta go after this fish. I'm moving on too fast. He towing the boat, but I'll move the line. When my backing means I've lost 150 yards of mono. I'm idling forward. I'm still not gaining on him. I'm gaining a little. Okay, folks, today we're going to talk about the bull shark run. People don't know about the bull shark run. The experts, the shark experts, so-called shark experts, do not know about the bull shark run. I am a true shark expert. I'm not a guy sitting in an office somewhere with a bunch of books behind him. This is my office here. I've captained fishing boats my entire life. I was a captain of commercial fishing boats for 15 years. I was a captain of charter boats for 15 years. And since then, I've been doing this unofficial study in this river on bull sharks. When I fished, I targeted sharks a lot. I've caught every kind of shark you can imagine. I was an offshore fisherman. I caught big tigers, big white sharks, makos, you name it. I've caught them all, a lot of them. I know what I'm talking about. I also have had a lot of book learning, and I study them. I read books. I do read books. Books do have their place. And I've taken college courses on marine biology. I know a lot of big words and stuff. Anyway, I am qualified, more so than anybody on earth, to have this discussion we're about to have. The truth of the matter is, it is not a rare event when bull sharks go up in a river. Female bull sharks go up in the river every year to give birth to their babies. Thousands of them go up all the rivers throughout the South and throughout the world in tropical climates to give birth. This starts in late March, right after the spring equinox. I may not have some of these dates right. The spring equinox, I believe, was March 20th. I caught my first fish March 23rd. They start coming into the rivers to give birth. Only females come up in the rivers. The males do not come up in the rivers. I've never caught a male in this river except for babies. The babies obviously are both sex. The females come up in the river to give birth, the males do not. Sharks do not spawn like other fish. Salmon and other fish, what they do is they lay eggs, and then the males come in and lay sperm over the eggs in order to fertilize them. So both of them need to be there in order to spawn. Now, sharks don't do it like that. They do it similar to the way we do things. The males have sex organs called claspers. They have 2 of them, and they do the deed similar to the way we do, and then the pups mature in the female's womb over a period of several months, I don't know how long. And then the female comes up in these rivers to give birth. The males are not around when the female gives birth. They don't need to be. They're off getting drunk somewhere in a bar, who knows. They're not up in these rivers. They come up in March and they leave. These things kind of happen around the equinoxes. They leave around the summer equinox. I believe that was June 20th, or somewhere around in there. They start pouring out of these rivers in late May, June. By July, they're pretty much gone. Now, the other thing is, they are responsible for a lot of these shark attacks you hear about. In Florida, it is a real problem. People don't realize what's going on. Again, the shark experts don't have a clue. The shark attacks in Florida happen in June and July. Didn't we already talk about those 2 months? That's when the sharks are leaving these rivers. They're just pouring out of these rivers. They come into the rivers over a space of a month or 2. It's kind of spread out how they come into the rivers, but they leave in a space of a week or 2. They just pour out all at once. And any inlet, any river inlet, any bay that has rivers emptying into it is going to have tons of sharks coming out of it, and anybody swimming in that area is very much at risk. There's tons of shark attacks every year in Florida and New Smyrna Beach. New Smyrna Beach, there is an inlet right there. I believe it's the St. Johns Rivers, the Intercoastal Waterway. There is no inlet for miles and miles and miles in either direction. That's the only way the sharks can get in there. This is how they enter that big river waterway to give birth to the babies, and they come out in June and July. Didn't we already talk about those 2 months? Yes, that's when the shark attacks are. That's when the sharks are leaving the rivers. They also occur in Panama City, Florida. Again, go look at a map. There is a bay there with several rivers entering into it, and a lot of saltwater estuaries and channels that these sharks are going up into to give birth. And they are leaving that bay and coming out right there, Panama Beach and the other beaches along in there, Panama City Beach and the other beaches along in that area. There were shark attacks at Panama City Beach and the other beaches in that area in June and July. There's those 2 months again. The sharks are just pouring out of those rivers, pouring out of that inlet. There's going to be shark attacks. Now, recently, we've been hearing about shark attacks in Australia. It's winter here in the United States. It is summer in Australia. Guess what? The summer solstice was around December 20th, I believe. Didn't we talk about the solstice before? The fish are leaving the rivers around the summer solstice in Australia. Here, it's June and July. There, it's going to be, I believe, December, January. It should be winding down there. They should be getting close to the end of it. They've had multiple attacks right there in Sydney Harbor. Again, look at a map. Sydney Harbor's got to be one of the greatest natural harbors in the entire world. It's just a huge big bay with many rivers entering into it and many estuaries. The sharks went up in there in the Australian spring, probably around the equinox, to give birth to their babies, and now they are pouring out through all those rivers, all those channels, and pouring out of Sydney Harbor right now. And that's why those shark attacks are happening. Again, the experts are not. They're saying water runoff and sewage and this and that. They got a bunch of nonsense. They just make up whatever they think fits the situation. This is what's happening. Thousands of bull sharks are pouring out of Sydney Harbor right now. Again, I don't know the exact dates. That's a long way away from me. But around this time, I think it's winding down, and they're about in the clear now. They may have another week or two to go before the sharks will be out of there. Now, I'm going to make a not so bold prediction right now. Right now. There will be many shark attacks in Australia, in that area, again next year. There may be a few this year, but again, it's kind of winding down. It's going to happen, folks. I'm going out on a limb, but I'm really not. That's going to happen. When you see these things happen, you'll know I know what I'm talking about. There will be many more shark attacks in Florida in June and July next year. Mostly New Smyrna Beach, Panama City, and also the Southwest Florida area, Boca Grande Pass. Behind Boca Grande Pass is Charlotte Harbor. It's a huge harbor, and it has multiple rivers emptying into it, 3 of them, I believe. The rivers will be, the sharks, I'm sorry, I get my words mixed up sometimes. The sharks will be pouring out of those rivers in June and July, and there will be more attacks, just like there was this year. The sharks, again, they come in kind of gradually, but they sort of leave all at once, and these things happen. Now, again, and also, you know, when they come in, they're pregnant. Now, I know a lot of reptiles don't eat when they're pregnant. I don't know about sharks. I imagine they still do, but I don't think they're as aggressive as they are after they have given birth and they're leaving the rivers. They're hungry, man. Now, let's talk about the other thing that happens in these attacks. I have this YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, watch my fishing videos. You will see me put a bait out, a live bait, about the size of my hand. I toss that bait out behind the boat, and it struggles a little bit. And as it's struggling, you got to think about the water like a drum. Water transmits sound much better than air does, and it goes much further. And you can beat on that water, and it'll make a sound like a drum. And fish can hear this sound great distances away. So I put that boat out, or that, here we go again, mixing up my words, I'm sorry. I put that bait out behind my boat, and it struggles. Every time it beats its tail, it's beating that drum. You got to think about the water like a drum. So the fish beats his tail, and it makes a sound, bump. He beats his tail again, it goes bump, bumpity thump thump, bump, bump, bump. As he's struggling, he's sending out these signals, bump, bumpity thump thump, bump, bump, bump. And these signals go 360 degrees in every direction, unlike blood or any other scent in a current. And sharks are amazing. I see them pick up these sounds. I can see the fish charging up the river literally from hundreds of yards away. He probably came from further, but I couldn't see him. Of course, I don't see the fish. What I see is a hump of water being pushed as it looks like a wake behind the boat as he's charging up the river to my fish. You can see this in some of my videos. It doesn't come out as well on the camera as it does in real life, but you can see a fish charging up the river because he hears my bait. So I throw the bait out there, and it goes bump, thumpity, bump, bump, and attracts that shark. They're incredible, the way they come to a sound. When you fish for sharks, forget about blood and chum. Get a bait out there that makes sound. That shark will be there instantly. A fish coming up the river. Most likely a shark. Got a bait out here the size of my hand, it flopping around, making sounds. The shark's really honing in on that. Sense. Need my bait to kick a little. Definitely a shark. Bait's kicking. Here's the fish coming, the bait's spread. You can see the fish's fin. Probably not very big. It's a totally freshwater environment here. We're up the river quite a bit further from where I usually fish. There's plenty of fish up here, plenty of sharks to fish for. They're just not as big. It's getting late in the season, and the sharks have really gotten small everywhere anyway. That looks like pretty small fish. You see it right there. Just about on my bait, I think. Getting awfully close. Another attract sharks quicker than sound. The sound of a struggling fish. See that fish running up the river there? He doesn't know exactly where my bait is. My bait, it's just, it struggles along and it stops. He gets the signal and then he loses it. You see, he's all excited. He hears that noise. I'm twitching the rod, trying to get my bait to kick. I'm not sure what's going on there. He's circling the bait, or right behind it, it looks like. It's not quite to it, I don't think. It's coming up in there now. He'll be getting on the bait here. He may have been hooked before, and he's assessing the situation. Wants the bait, but he's afraid it might be a trap. Not gonna hurt you, miss. I'm close enough to bait. The bait is really reacting now. Bait sees a fish. Fish is on. So, the people that are getting attacked, the little girl that was attacked in Boca Grande last year, she was attacked, let me see, that was in June. Again, those are magic months. She was attacked on the beach of Boca Grande. She was paddling on a float. And so she's not in the water, she's on a float. And her hands are in the water paddling. Again, she's paddling in her drum. Every time she moves her hand, it makes a sound. It says she's paddling away, and it's going bump, bumpity thump, thump, bump, bump, bump. The shark does what it does and hears that sound and comes running. That's how they find food. More than blood, more than smell. It's sound. He runs up there, and when he got there, he didn't see that little girl. He didn't attack that little girl. I'm sorry, she. It was almost certainly a female bull shark leaving the river. No males. The males are out at sea somewhere. So it came up on the float. It didn't see the little girl. What it saw was her hand. And her hand is in the water paddling, going bump, bumpity thump, thump, bump, bump. And her hand is just the right size to fit in this fish's mouth. The shark did what it did. What it does, it grabbed that prey that was bite size. It didn't know it was attacking a little girl. It just thought it was attacking a hand. They need to think about closing down these beaches. It's not every beach, it's just the ones that border the rivers this time of year. The same thing on the West Coast in New Smyrna Beach. Often it's surfers. There was a story on the news. We don't get all the news stories, but the one I did get, the surfer paddled out there on his board. So he's paddling. This happened in June, by the way. Imagine that. So he's paddling out there. And he's paddling, and every time he moves that hand, he goes bump, bumpity, thump, thump, bump, bump. It's not really the splashing. You need to understand it. The splashing is going to send out sound, but it's the hand or the fin hitting that water. It makes a bump, bumpity, thump, thump, bump. Now, if you've ever spearfished, you'll know what I'm talking about. When we hit a big fish and he takes off or tries to, you can hear it bump, bumpity, thump, bump, bump. So the surfer paddles out there, paddling with his hands, bump, bumpity, thump, thump, bump, bump, bump. And he gets to where he's going to catch a wave, and swings his legs over the side, and you got to keep your board oriented toward shore to catch a wave. So he's moving his legs like this under that board. And again, the shark came to that sound, that bumpity thump thump, bump, bump, bump. When it got there, it didn't see a full-grown man. The man was out of the water on the surfboard. All it saw was his leg. It hit his leg. And this is what happens there. And the other thing that happens is waders, people wading in the ocean. Again, the shark doesn't realize that he doesn't see what's out of the water. He's just attacking what's in the water. A leg, an arm, a hand. That's a bite-sized morsel for a bull shark. And away he goes. Okay. The other thing that's happening, oh boy, I don't know where to start with this. There is this craziness about protecting sharks. Animals are protected from public opinion, not because they need to be protected from scientific study or anything like that. It's simply public opinion. Decades ago, it was in December, I caught my last white shark. I couldn't keep that fish, as I was called on the radio and they said, no, he's protected. It was in, I'm sorry, I might have messed that up. It was in the 90s, 1990s, that I caught my last white shark. About that time they were protected, as on that trip I was told I could not keep that fish. Looking back at it, I should have brought him to shore and said, go ahead, take me away. He was worth it. 20-foot white shark. Anyway, it was in the 90s, the Discovery Channel did a special on finning sharks. They showed this big commercial boat capturing sharks on a long line, bringing them aboard and just finning them and throwing them overboard alive. Well, of course, the whole country saw this and they got very upset about it. And the Discovery Channel and other channels realized how well this sold. All the ratings were unbelievable, so they pushed it. They made more shows like this. And again, the country just got really, really upset about it. And, you know, the media is so powerful and so irresponsible. They don't care about the truth or facts. What they care about is ratings. And these shows got great ratings. It sold like hotcakes, and their commercials were worth a lot of money, and it was all about money. And they just kept throwing fuel on this fire of oh, the poor sharks, and oh my God, they're being treated so badly. And anyway, people got all alarms about it, and next thing I knew, they made a law. They put a moratorium on sharks. We couldn't catch them for a year. Any shark anywhere in the country, we weren't allowed to catch it. Not because there was a shortage of sharks, but because they did these shows on TV and everybody got all upset about it. At the time, I was running commercial boat. I had my own commercial boat. I was going out and hooking about $600 worth of fish every day. That's back when $100 was worth something. You know, back in the 80s, the 90s, early 90s. That at times the sharks would get so bad. This happened every year. The sharks are incredible. They travel the world. They know when and where the fish spawn, and they show up there at exactly the right time. So the sharks show up for the amberjack spawn that I was fishing. There was literally millions of amberjack out there, and we would go out there and harvest them, and the sharks would come at exactly the right time when the fish are they're spawning. The sharks would get so thick that you couldn't get a fish to the boat. I had powerful electric reels mounted on the side of the boat that would bring a 100-pound fish to the boat in about 5 minutes. The amberjack were between 50 and 100 pounds, between 40 and 100 pounds. And you couldn't get one to the boat before the sharks would get it. They'd get so thick that they would get 90% of your fish. So I'd go out and hook $600 worth of fish and come in with $100 worth because the sharks ate the rest. Couldn't make a living like that. Before they put the moratorium on it, I would go out and the sharks would eat all my fish, so I'd just catch sharks and sell them. But now they put the moratorium on sharks and they're, you know, rare and endangered. Well, if they're so rare and endangered, why are they eating all my fish? I couldn't make a living. That was kind of the final straw for commercial fishing for me. They just really hurt me with that. since then, many of the fish have become protected. White sharks have been protected for about 30 years. Tiger sharks, about 30 years. Makos, the same thing. Those are three of the most dangerous. Bull sharks are protected. You can take them, but they have size limits and things of that nature. And it has become just terribly unfashionable to kill a shark. It's just not done. Well, world's oceans are being overrun with sharks. The rivers are being overrun with sharks. Shark attacks are going to get much worse everywhere, especially in the areas we're outlining in videos around river mouths. The closer the beaches are to the river mouths, the worse the problem is going to be. Up in the Northeast, where they're seeing white sharks for the first time, that situation is going to get worse. And experts say, oh, global warming and this and that and that and the other thing. Bullshit. Maybe they just don't want to admit when you protect animals, you do bring them back. There are consequences. Man has a role to play in the balance of nature. They talk about the balance of nature and man like it's two different things. It's not. Man has a role to play. Part of his role is controlling these major predators. You can't take man out of the equation. Man has been the apex predator on the planet for thousands of years, and he will continue to be, or he should continue to be, the apex predator today. You take that role away, you protect these animals, and they overrun the oceans, they overrun the rivers. Shark attacks become more and more and more prevalent, and it's really hard on the fish populations. Don't get me wrong. I really, really enjoy the shark fishing. About the pups. So the sharks come up in here in March and they leave June, July. And throughout that time they are having babies. After the sharks left, the babies will be in the river for most of the upcoming year, a lot of it anyway. Well, no, that's not true. They stay till about December. Again, here we are in the equinoxes. They leave right about the winter equinox. So they're born sometime between March and say June. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger. They grow quite fast. They're about 1.5 feet, 2 feet long when I start catching them in on about July. And by the time they leave in December, they are about 4 feet long. They really grow fast. I have put together a video, a compilation of baby sharks I've caught in the river, and I put them in there in a chronological order from the month I caught them. So the first ones were caught like in July and so on up all the way to December. You see them getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they're gone. I don't know at what point bull sharks become pregnant and start having babies, but they start coming into the river just 4.5, 5 feet long. So I think they the babies leave in December about 4 foot, and they come right back in the spring. Now, whether they're pregnant and actually have babies at that time, I don't know. Most of the sharks, they may just come in, you know, because it's part of their MO. It's what they do. I don't know. But they do show up with the other sharks, the 4.5, 5 feet long. When the run starts, the little ones come in first, 4.5, 5 footers. And then after a few weeks, you'll start getting bigger fish and bigger fish. The month of May is when the biggest fish are around. And this river, I get a lot of 7 footers about that time, and a few 8 footers. 7 footers, 150, 180 pounds, and 8 footers over 200. But that's what's going on, folks. Don't believe everything you hear on TV about the so-called experts. My God. This is my office. I have studied them here. I am hands-on in the field. I was a professional fisherman for 30 years. At that time, my office was, I was an offshore fisherman. Most of the time I was offshore and could not see land every day. And that was my office. I also fished the reef just 4 or 5 miles offshore. I did that for 4 or 5 months of the year during the snapper spawn, and I did it quite a bit as a charter boat captain. We caught sailfish and other fish along the reef. The sail fishing in the Keys is absolutely spectacular in the winter. If you ever get a chance, we catch 6-7 foot sailfish on 20-pound spinning outfits. It is a hoot. You get 6-7 of them a day, sometimes more. I believe the record's over 50. It's absolutely spectacular. Anyway, I think I'm gonna sign off now. We'll talk to you again. I have many other subjects to talk about, many things I know about. I will tell you how to solve all the environmental problems of the world with one move. I caught this little pup July 15th. This is totally a freshwater environment. You can see freshwater plants on both sides of the river. It may look brackish, but it's actually tannic. The leaves fall in the river, they rot, and they dye the water like a cup of tea. It's called tannic. You can't see through the water at all. Further down the river a little bit, it is quite brackish, but here it's freshwater. I catch all the babies in freshwater. This may have something to do with why the bull sharks come up in the river to give birth in the first place, because the babies seem to spend the first 4 or 5 months of their life in freshwater. When I fish in saltwater, I don't catch them too much. When I go looking for them, I go looking in freshwater. That's where I find them. This fish is 1.5 feet, 2 feet long. It's quite small. I've got a video, a pup video that I'm putting together. It will be available soon on my channel, The Old Man in the River. In that video, you'll see the pups being caught through the months until I believe I caught the last one in December sometime. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then they just kind of disappear. And after that, they go out to sea about 4.5 feet long and come back in a few months later. I promised you a treat at the end of this video. It's coming up right now. He just farted. He'll probably come up for air. Holy shit. That fish pushing 200 pounds. I think he is 200 pounds. This fish towed my boat for miles and hours. The video will be available soon on my channel, The Old Man in the River, along with a pup video. It is January 26, 2026. Jesus, really, the line was close to the boat. I want that thing jumping on top of me.